Hey guys, we have an amazing show for you today. I'm Peggy, and I'm here with Aideen, and we're going to talk about lymphedema. She is actually in Brazil, and as you'll tell, as soon as she starts talking, she's not from Brazil, but that's all right. We're going to get into that. She has been working with lymphedema patients for several years. So, Aideen, tell us a little bit about how you fell into this and how you got started.
Sure. So, like most therapists who get involved in this area of treating lymphedema, I have quite a personal connection with this condition in that my mom developed lymphedema after she had cancer treatment for a malignant melanoma. I'm happy to say that she's fine. Usually the next question that comes is, how's she doing now? She's all good, but she did develop lymphedema after she had lymph nodes removed from the groin. So at that time, there was not a lot of information given about what's happening. I'm sad to say that it hasn't changed a huge amount since then. But she went off to investigate what's happening, what is this condition, what can I do about it? And that's how she learned. And then I, from her, learned what lymphedema is and how you can treat it and manage it and look after it. And I went on then to study the therapy, the treatment, so that the idea was she could have a daughter in the family then and for treatment for the rest of her life if she needs it. But ironically, she's only needed my help once or twice, which is typical, right?
Right. I feel like the people, anyway, in my circle with lymphedema, we're pretty self-resourceful. Like, we're like, all right. But I know for me personally, I was diagnosed with lymphedema. Well, I've had lymphedema for over almost 25 years now. And I was 8 years undiagnosed. And then once I was diagnosed, I was told, hi, I'm your therapist, and you have 8 weeks with me, and I've got to teach you everything, and your insurance will never pay for you to come back. So I soaked everything up. And obviously, it's a little better now. Like there's, you can sometimes get seen a little more often than that. But, it's scary. And like you said, there's just so little information out there. And here we are in 2022, and it's still a very little amount of education and information. So you have a course that you do. Tell us a little bit about that.
Sure. So like you, it really bugged me that there's such a lack of information and a lot of misinformation then as a result of that, a lot of misunderstanding. Tons of stuff. Dr. Google, we all know you can't rely on Dr. Google, but people still go to Google looking for answers. And there's a lot of confusing information out there. Then came the pandemic and people were in lockdown, and I had a lot of ideas over the years. I always teach my clients in the clinic everything they should be doing at home as well to get the maximum out of the therapy, to keep on top of the condition even when they're in between sessions with me. And a lot of people in Ireland actually pay privately. They pay out of their own pocket for therapy. So it's expensive. You want to make sure that they can maximize the amount of time between appointments by doing whatever they can at home. So come the pandemic, we've got a lot of people then who can't come out of home, don't feel comfortable coming out of home and into a clinic setting. They're worried about their immune system and picking up anything. But at the same time, stress increases the swelling, right? It worsens your symptoms. And then probably all of the bad habits, not moving as much because we're all stuck at home. Bad eating because we're comfort eating. All of these things contribute to a worsening of the symptoms. So we kind of had a bit of a perfect storm. And I thought, okay, I need to address this. I'm a problem solver. And I had the ideas over the years of producing some sort of materials to help people so that they can learn as much as possible at home. And I found when people understand how it works, how the lymphatic system works, particularly for secondary lymphedema, when people understand what it means when a part of a drainage area is removed from your body, if you have lymph nodes removed, for example, when people understand it, they're much more likely to do their home care stuff and get the results out of it. When they don't really get it, it's like, how can this make any difference to me? I don't believe that it makes any difference, and they don't do it. So when we had lockdown, it kind of gave me the time as well as a bit of a kick up the bum to get it going to get it started. And I set about creating and building my online course. And that developed into 2 online courses because there's a little bit of a difference between how we deal with primary lymphedema and how we deal with secondary lymphedema. So I split the course into 2 then, and there's a variation for primary and a variation for secondary. In the course, I've put lots of different videos, little tutorials. I've tried to keep it as simple as possible. And each video has a different topic, if you like. So we have information about the lymphatic system, a little bit of science for those that enjoy that part, diagrams that I've drawn on my body of how the lymphatic system is divided into different drainage areas, what happens when one drainage area is damaged, what can cause that damage, what can we then do. One of those things that we can do is simple lymphatic drainage or self-lymphatic drainage. So there's video tutorials on how to perform that yourself at home, depending on which drainage area in your body was damaged. And then there's also a ton of other stuff, such as the importance of hydration. There's a module on that. Different foods that can worsen your symptoms or help the symptoms. A tutorial on how to apply kinesio tape for lymphatic drainage. It's such a simple technique. You can't go too far wrong with it with lymphatic drainage because you're not applying it with a ton of tension. So I've taught people how to do that for themselves. There's also a yoga video in there, an exercise video, deep breathing video. All of these things help to get the lymphatic system moving. And even a meditation to help people with their stress. So everything that you need to know about your lymphatic system, and if your lymphatic system is damaged, what that means, and all the things that you can do kind of lifestyle based to support your lymphatic system, to avoid the onset of symptoms, or maybe to mitigate the symptoms, or to help move the fluid out of the area where it's pooling. It's all in there. And it's super simple, easy to follow. Yeah, and the feedback so far from the participants of the course has been really, really positive.
Well, I know that what I have found is that it's so important to pay attention to your body. I think I'm very intuitive to my body now, more so than that I probably would have been if I hadn't ended up with lymphedema, because I noticed, like, okay, I miss sleep, so I'm probably going to have a flare up if I also eat something bad or also get stressed. Like, I have to like really pay attention to, like, right now I'm traveling in a hotel. Anybody that watches my videos, like, where's Peggy at? I'm in a hotel room. And so, you know, travel, you know, it's everything that you do can throw off those things. So to have those tools to know, like, okay, when this happens, how can I do this?
Exactly.
And really paying attention. I think that we don't, as a whole humanity, we don't pay enough attention to our bodies, because our bodies tell us what we want, what they need, I mean, rather. But a lot of times we're like, oh, you're craving sweets? Okay, how about a chocolate chip cookie? No, I think maybe it was fruit it was wanting.
Yeah, exactly.
But when you start kind of tuning into your body and really, really knowing when you are starting to get drained, when you are starting to get stressed, and acknowledging it, because I lived many years under a ton of stress and I didn't even know I was stressed because it was normal. And now I'm like, okay, wait, I'm feeling stressed. I'm going to go meditate. I'm going to go do some deep breathing exercises. I'm going to go like take control of my situation. And so I love that you have a place where a resource where people can go and get those tools to, like, okay, this is going on. What can I do? This is going on. So that's really cool.
Yeah, exactly. And there's a few things you touched on there. I'm also a yoga instructor and personal trainer, by the way, which is why those things are included in the course. But one of the things that I focus on in every single yoga class is tuning into the body. So what's that famous expression? Listen to your body whisper so you don't have to hear it screaming at you later on. It's so true. We're not aware enough and present enough in our own bodies. In this mad society, there's so many things to distract us. And you're right, it's really, really important. It's a really important skill to learn, to be present in our bodies and to listen and to understand what's going on. And what I like about the course is that, look, not everybody is proactive. Not everybody wants to take control of it. Not everybody feels comfortable doing that. But for those that do, it really empowers people, like you say, to take a little bit of control back, to take the reins back, and maybe to plan. One of the things that I hear the most when I'm in the clinic is, say, for example, a special occasion. I have this wedding coming up, and I just know I'm going to have a flare up beforehand. And then what's going to happen? You get stressed. And like you say, most people don't know they're stressed. How many times I've had somebody come in, I'm so sorry I'm late. This happened. This other thing happened. This other thing happened. I talk to them about stress, and it's like, oh no, but I don't suffer with stress. Like, okay. You don't realize you do, but it was the first thing you told me when you arrived. But yeah, so what I like to suggest is kind of planning before the event, because when you start feeling stressed, maybe you're going to have the salty snacks, you're going to have the extra glass of wine, you get dehydrated, and then you produce the flare up that you're trying to avoid because you didn't know that that's what's going to happen. So a really good planning tool I find is to even keep a food diary, a food and mood diary. And if you do that regularly, you can recognize your triggers, things that set your symptoms off. And then when it comes to, okay, next week I have this event, when you know your triggers, you can think, okay, I'm going to make sure that I am super careful about eating well this week. I'm going to make sure I'm very careful about staying hydrated. Mm-hmm. If I have that cup of coffee, I'm going to have another extra glass of water as well to balance that out. And then, you know, you can kind of control what's happening in your body leading up to the special occasion, so you don't have the flare up on the day of the special occasion. But when you don't know, another one of my favorite phrases is, you don't know what you don't know. So when you don't know that these things impact your symptoms and your lymphatic system, you just don't know. So you can't possibly be in control of the situation. But there are things that you can do to make sure that you stay in control and take the reins. It's not going to work 100% of the time, because sometimes your stress is just going to get out of control and there's not much we can do about it. We can try to calm ourselves down. Sometimes the stress gets the better of us, for example, or the heat, or you're on a plane and the air pressure causes issues. But at least you know all of the things that you can do to minimize the impact.
Absolutely. I just this year, it's funny because something has been happening like repeatedly and it never clicked until this year. And I said it out loud and I was like, how did that never dawn on me before?
Yeah.
But I had like a traumatic thing happen in the month of May, and several years ago, and every May I have this huge flare up, and I'm like, why do I have a flare up every May? Like this year I was like, what in the world? Why? And I was like, oh my gosh, this traumatic thing in my past, the emotions come back up, and here I don't even realize how much it affects my physical body, and it affects, you know, anything that's going to happen in my physical body is going to show up in my legs.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the first place. It's, you know, I'm going to have a flare up with the lymphedema. I'm going to get, you know, swollen and puffy and sore and, you know, blah, 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 tired and grumpy. But it was so funny because I say, oh, I'm so intuitive, and this has been going on literally for years. And this year when I said it out loud, I was like, oh my God, it is. And I know what it is. Now I need to work on some healing in that area. So maybe next May I can go through without being wrapped all night and all day and feet up all the time. You know, maybe it can make it through.
Absolutely. In that case, it's more subconscious, right? And we don't have as much control over the subconscious stuff. That's where we need to, like you say, you started to see the pattern, but you were more aware of looking at things and being more sensitive to your body and asking the question, what's happening? Why does this keep happening in May? That's when you know, okay, there's actually something deeper emotionally going on here. And maybe you can look into trauma release exercises. And your body reacts. Absolutely. It's a very real thing. I remember a friend, she was in India one year when there was an earthquake, or Thailand potentially. And the next year she experienced the trauma again, and she didn't understand what was happening either until she went to speak to somebody about it. And they explained it's like a post-traumatic stress event. And your body on the date or around that date the next year can experience the fear, the trauma again. You're not very conscious of it, but it's happening.
Yeah, and it's the same way with food or whatever it is. There's tons and tons of times I was eating something and it's like, man, it's weird. Every time I go to this place, I don't feel good after. Not every time I eat this food, that I get at this place. And it takes a while for you to go, oh, I don't do well with fermented foods. I can't drink kombucha. I can't do these things. Okay, got it.
Yeah. And everybody's
you have to
different
really,
too.
Spend the time to listen to your body. I love that. Because your body will whisper or obviously yell. I feel like I have my lymphedema under control, but even though I manage my lymphedema and I have it under control, I can't go one day without compression garments. I can't go 5 hours without compression. I can't go one day just pretending like, I still have to be conscious of giving
Absolutely.
my body the extra tools that it needs, the massages and, everything. And so it's
exactly.
Really, I love that because not a lot of people are really aware of this. People that follow my blog know Kathleen Listen. She's here in San Diego. She's a therapist and also a mindful coach like you. I'm going to connect you guys. You'll love each other.
Excellent.
But it's so important what you're doing. So I love that. How can people find your course and find out more about you?
So I'm all over everything at the moment, which is the bane of my life, as well as a great way to share everything. I have a YouTube channel, Facebook page, Instagram page, but probably the easiest way is to go to my website because it's super easy to find. It's www.mld.ie. So MLD for manual lymphatic drainage and .ie because it's Ireland based. So on there, there's information, there's a page dedicated to information about the online course and a link if you want to purchase the secondary lymphedema course. The primary lymphedema course, people can contact me. There's a separate link to buy that. And then on my contact page, there's links to my social media and my YouTube channel as well. So that's probably the easiest way to find me everything in one place.
What would you want people with lymphedema? What's the one tip you would want people to go away with today? Like if you could give them one, like what is the one thing you would say, make sure you do or whatever? What's your one tip you'd want to send everyone home with?
Can there be two?
Sure, let's do two.
Okay, because one is super, super important, but there's another one I want to leave with you guys as well. Hydration is key. Do not forget to keep the water in your system. Exactly. It's like putting oil in the engine of your car. The lymphatic system needs the water in order to actually run and flush things through your body. The other is this. I actually posted a short video yesterday on my social media channels, on my YouTube, and it's about anastomosis. Have you heard of anastomosis before?
No.
Okay, so I'm going to tell you a little bit about it. So anastomosis is a clever little trick that our body can do if under the right conditions, let's say. This is really relevant to lymphedema, particularly, say, secondary lymphedema, or if you have one drainage area that's particularly impacted by the lymphedema, because anastomosis can help you to move the fluid or teach your body to move the fluid to another drainage area in the body. So if you can imagine, I have a line down the center of my body that divides my body into left and right sides. And my hands here are dividing the two drainage areas. Let's call these the watershed. So on either side of the watershed, the fluid moves away from the watershed. This is super simplified, but essentially fluid moves towards the lymph nodes, say under the arm here, okay? Always in this direction. Now, what happens if this entire drainage area is not really doing very well, or it's had parts removed or treated with radiation therapy, for example? The fluid starts to pool. What are you going to do about that? Well, the body is really clever because if we do our simple lymphatic drainage and, for example, just encourage fluid across that watershed and move it to a drainage area that's fully functioning, what happens is the little tiny microscopic vessels under the skin, the lymphatic vessels that are not really attached because we have the watershed here, when you start to encourage the fluid across, they'll actually start to bind together. And you now create a new pathway for that fluid. Isn't that amazing? I love that. It's like magic.
That's cool.
And that's called anastomosis, this process. And when you do that, this is what most people have, a light bulb moment when they get this little nugget of information. If you do your simple lymphatic drainage every single day, even just for a few seconds, you can keep that new channel open. But if you're just going for therapy, say once a month, once every fortnight, after you've had your therapy with your therapist, they start to separate again and go to where is natural, the natural flow. So that's why it's key to learn the stuff that you can do at home and keep that channel open, because then you've got a new pathway and the body will continue to do it automatically. And it doesn't have to be hours and hours of your time. If you keep that channel open, and it could be a different drainage area, just for example here, keep it open, and that way the fluid will continue to flow. And that is the nugget of information I'd like to leave you guys with.
Yay, thank you. Well, I appreciate this time, because I have to tell everybody how I met you, because it was just such a weird way. So I'm kind of getting to know you myself. I was on a Zoom call talking about headshot strategies with apparently a mutual friend of ours in Scotland. And something was said, and I said, well, I have lymphedema, and that's normally followed up by, what's lymphedema?
Yeah.
And he goes, oh, when I get off the call with you, I'm actually talking to a lymphedema therapist. And I was like, give her my name.
Synchronicity, hey?
So it was funny. So I'm in America, and a man in Scotland connected me with an Irish woman that's living in Brazil. So I just thought that was hilarious and fun. So I'm really glad that the universe brought us together. And
Absolutely,
I
me
look forward
too.
to getting to know you more. And maybe we'll do some more videos and chat about lymphedema in the future again. But thanks so much for your time.
Thank you. I've really, really loved chatting to you. Appreciate your time as well. And I hope that I can help you to help some more people out there.
And all your information is going to be down in the description below, so people will be able to find you and contact you and follow you on social media. Are you on TikTok?
No, I'm trying not to go to TikTok because I hate social media. Actually, it's like it sucks all of our time and focus. No, should I be on TikTok?
You should be. It's the biggest thing right now. My 17-year-old runs my TikTok account for me. It's time to sit down and record videos, Mom. Come on, let's go record this week's content.
I need a small person
17-year-old
to help me. I do. I need a 17-year-old. I'm 41. TikTok is like, no, please don't do this to me. Yeah, I need a 17-year-old for sure. Anybody out there, lend me a 17-year-old to do my TikTok. No, it's been on my to-do list. It's actually posted up there on the noteboard. I'm like, will I do it? Yeah, I need to get on it.
Well, remember, guys, sharing is caring. So share this video with everyone that you know that would get some use out of knowing more about lymphedema. Make sure that you follow her and show her love on all her social medias as well as me. And most important, have an amazing day. I'll see you soon.